Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pravus Gaming with more Plague Inc. Evolved custom scenarios. We're going to be getting into some of the popular tab again because I have finally run through the list of all of the requests that I have received in the last few weeks. If I've missed any of yours, then I sincerely apologize. But, of course, because the popular tab is currently flooded with COVID-19 scenarios, we're going to be picking up one of those today and try to find one of the better scenarios as it exists. Now, of course, I want to point out, the coronavirus, still a very serious topic. I myself have been suffering from partial quarantine and then also going into work as an essential employee and putting myself at risk lately. So it's a very serious topic. I am not making light of it by playing any of this stuff. This is simply the topic at hand in Plague Inc. and it's some of the better stuff that people are coming up with. So I want to explore it. Also, YouTube promised not to demonetize me simply for mentioning it. We'll see if that actually ends up being true. The one that I have selected for us today is called SARS-CoV-2 Covid-19. This is by Chade, and there are a load of coronavirus-based scenarios out there on Plague Inc. right now. A lot of them are basically just the standard virus type with like maybe 2 or 3 changes in the symptoms. Very uncreative. I am hoping that this is going to end up being one of the good ones that actually has a lot of customization into it to try and be true to form with the actual disease, especially since it has received 5 stars. Brutal or mega difficulty is recommended. This scenario attempts to recreate the effects of the coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan City, Hubei Province in China. Symptoms available match only those reported so far, and transmission is limited to known possible vectors. So they're trying to go for realism, which I very much appreciate, considering how severe this whole thing is. We're going to go for Mega Brutal, just for a bit of a challenge. Now, before I continue with this, one thing I want to bring up, I know that I'm saying that I finish it with my requests for the custom scenarios, and now I can move on to some of the popular tab and catch back up before I take a break. I know that there are some people that sent me some scenarios over the last few weeks. I actually had 3 separate people request a scenario. I looked for it, couldn't find it, tried to reach out to them, and they sent me a .plague inc file. That is the first time I've ever been sent those, and now 3 different people have done it. I'm not sure why. I've tried to figure out how to open those things and make them work. I have not been able to do so despite some suggestions by said people. So if you guys have a scenario that you want me to check out, make sure that you actually do have it published and public on the Steam Workshop, and then send me that link. That is the easiest way to make sure that I could not possibly mess it up. So I apologize to those people that I'm not playing their scenario. I can't use what you've given me at this point. I do apologize for that. Anyway, all right, here we go. Virus name SARS-CoV-2. Disease, COVID-19. A new strain of coronavirus has emerged in China. Only time will tell how serious it is. Initial reports from the Chinese government say it's not too serious and everything is under control. It's not. December 1st, again, I'm not supposed to make light of it. That's sort of ironic and sarcastic, I guess, more than anything. December 1st, 2019, Wuhan City, 11 million people are going about their daily lives, blissfully unaware about what is about to befall them, a plague that will change the face of their city forever, perhaps the world, question mark? I mean, it might. You know, funny, I say funny, this is actually horrible. Real thing that's happening here. So in my state of Virginia, they're talking about trying to loosen up some of the government lockdown and what kind of stages they need to go through, right? There's a multi-phase plan that Governor Northam just recently put out to try and reopen my state of Virginia. And I'm hearing some possibility that the first stage, which involves social distancing and masks and a lot of different businesses staying shut down, could last 1 to 2 more years. Oh my gosh, please, for the love of God, no. But that's the world right now. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, zoonotic shift. That's a weird-looking symbol. I've never seen that before. Cool. Genetic shift in virus increases infectivity mutation chance and makes cross-species infection possible. Funny thing, when my coworkers were asking me what we should be looking out for with the coronavirus as it was developing in January, back when people were talking about it a lot, one of the first things I told them, when we start seeing a zoonotic shift in cross-species contamination, that's when you need to be afraid. So that's why I'm going to pick it up. First thing we're going to go for, right there, boom, 3 points. We also have pangolins. More recently, it has been said that bats may have passed the virus into an intermediary host, such as pangolins, and they pass it on to humans through consumption because, I don't know, wet markets and stuff. People ate that thing. Bats. Current theories say the NCOV originated in bats. It's possible the first human contracted COVID-19 through the consumption of an infected bat. Why the frick would people eat a bat? I just don't understand it, but you know what? Different cultures, different rules. It's what they do. I shouldn't really judge about that, but I am currently suffering from a plague, and I'd like to have some answers. I have no idea if this is actually where it comes from. I mean, freaking nature is scary, dude. Things happen. Viruses are weird. Anyway, we have livestock. Common livestock susceptible to cross-species infection, increasing the infectivity in rural regions. Not useful in China. Humans. The earliest known infection in humans was traced back to early December of 2019. Although some speculate it may have been earlier than this. That's actually true. I have heard some speculation that despite the fact that COVID-19 was not becoming a big thing in the United States until like March, there may have been a death to COVID-19 as early February in California. which is like, okay, so a really bad seeming flu might actually have been this disease way sooner than we thought, which is also quite scary. We live in a scary world, guys. It's very scary things. Direct contact transmission. Person-to-person transmission through direct contact with the infected. Increase in infectivity, especially in urban regions. Possibility of mutation increases. I'm not sure how good mutation's going to be for me, but going for an urban transmission type is very good for me right now, since we are in an urban country. For symptoms, we haven't looked at this yet. Let's take a look. We have fever, sweating, coughing, sneezing, and pneumonia. All of these seem pretty true to form. We could also lead to nausea, which I have heard is a thing for some people. Like, I don't know, was it 1 in 8 people might experience some form of nausea? We'll pick some of that up. That can lead to vomiting. Good for the infectivity rates, not a lot of severity. I'll pick that up. Diarrhea, another thing. You know, it's funny, I was joking about a lot of people getting toilet paper. It's like, what the heck, do you think this is supposed to infect your bowels? For some people, apparently it does. So maybe getting toilet paper was not such a bad idea after all. Pulmonary edema, that's a little bit lethal. Not sure I want that at the moment. For our abilities, we have our standard, cold, heat, and drug resistance. Also, trigger mutagenesis. What? The DNA of the virus becomes highly erratic and fragmented, greatly increasing random symptom mutations and cure requirements. Well, that sounds like a very good thing to get once we have gotten into a lot of different countries. Now, we are playing on Mega Brutal difficulty, so we need to be very concerned about our spread in the early game. This is going to be a lot more difficult as time goes on. We do have... Oh, projectile vomiting. That's not what I was going for, but we have it. We do have a lot of severity at the beginning of the game, which means as we get into new countries, we should be getting a lot of gas. But I'm very wary, of course, that people are going to shut down their borders very early on, so let's see what happens. Indirect contact transmission. Humans now transmit the virus through the air via coughing and sneezing. Increase in infectivity, especially in heavily populated regions. Further mutation increase. A lot of mutation chance going on here. Maybe I shouldn't be picking up any more symptoms from here on out. That is entirely possible, but I'm very glad that we did get some of that urban transmission so we can pick up a little bit of steam in China. Do I want to go for livestock? I mean, it wouldn't do me a whole lot of good. It's just that 21 DNA with more severity is a bit risky. I will pick this up, and that leads to livestock level 2, which is going to further increase the infectivity for 16 DNA. Only sort of okay, but if we can spread in Russia, maybe that would work out well for me. I am not too sure. Anyway, so yeah, I know some people are going to say going into this scenario like, oh, you're just trying to chase a trend and stuff and blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, I would like to actually make a living off of YouTube lately. This stuff's been hitting pretty hard, but no, that's not the main reason I'm doing this. I just want to make it very clear, like, I expected this content to get demonetized. YouTube says they won't, but it may very well anyway. I'm doing this mainly because this is what the Plague Inc. community is definitely focusing on, and therefore I think it is worth a lot of my attention. Because why let a lot of creativity go to waste just because it is a sensitive topic, you know what I mean? I mostly stopped doing it because I didn't want to just flood the channel with like 20 scenarios, because there's a lot to sort through, and taking a little bit of time has given me a little bit of time to sort through what's good, what is not. So that's one of the reasons. Hey, they have discovered us. We have already infected 400 million people in China, and we are now spreading into India and beyond. Scary. Domesticated mammals. Other mammals become more susceptible to infection, increase in infectivity, especially in the urban regions, plus possibility of further mutation increases. You know, despite the fact that we've had a lot of things that are increasing our mutation chance, it doesn't seem like I've actually had any mutations. Kinda weird, but I'm not upset about it. We're gonna go for some cold resistance so we can spread faster in places like Russia. I would like to make sure we get into places like Greenland. I'm trying to remember, starting off in China, where are we gonna have the most trouble? New Zealand can be tricky, but usually okay. Madagascar, not too bad. Greenland's always a challenge. I think it's actually the Caribbean that we're going to struggle with the most. So going for a little bit of drug resistance to speed up our spread in Europe and beyond could certainly be beneficial. Wouldn't mind getting another level of that for 27, and notice how much DNA we are getting. Mainly because we started with so much extra severity, that is giving us so much extra gas from all of these bubbles. It's pretty darn helpful, if I were to say. So domesticated mammals, probably good, again, for urban countries, good in Europe and beyond. I think we will go ahead and pick that up. That leads to asymptomatic carriers. There it is. Virus can infect some hosts, and they will show no sign of infection, dramatically increasing infectivity, especially in high population areas. It also greatly reduces severity, which reduces the likelihood that people are going to shut down their borders, and that seems like a very, very good thing for me. Not good for the world, but a very good thing for this particular simulation. Yeah, the asymptomatic nature of this is, I think, one of the reasons this disease is so freaking weird. Like, otherwise, the lethality rate's not good. I mean, it's very infective, but it wouldn't be that huge of a deal. It's mostly because we can't tell who's been infected, so who knows how much it's spreading unchecked. That makes this disease just that much weirder. It's so unknown. Heck, for all I know, I've already had the darn thing. And I just didn't even know it because that many people could be asymptomatic. We don't know. Because until we get antibody tests done, it's hard to say just how many people are asymptomatic. You get the point? The lack of information is it's throwing people for a loop. Virus X. What scientists feared most happened. NCOV has now begun mutating transmissions at an astounding rate, almost undetectable. It seems nothing can slow it down now. I'm sorry, real quick, I want to point out, mutating transmissions, as far as I can tell, there are no more transmissions to mutate. Is this really the best thing to get? Yeah, mutating transmissions does nothing when I already have them all. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, fine, whatever. Let's go for some cold resistance. We're going to stock up on some DNA. Now, starting off in China, we do not have any resistance to the heat or the cold innately. So, there we go. We did get into Madagascar just before they shut things down, which is great. Let's go for some level of heat resistance. I'm very concerned that the Caribbean is going to shut down their ports in a minute. We already have the port from Russia shut down. Please, Norway, send something into Greenland right about now. More mutations won't do me a lot of good right now. I'm going to go for a genetic hardening. For some reason, the genetic shuffle's been moved by one. Why? I don't know. That's kind of bizarre. And the port got shut down for the Caribbean. I did say that that was a risk, and there it is. Boo! All right, so this already sounds like we are going to have to restart, and we didn't even manage to get into Greenland. Okay, so what this tells me is if I'm going to restart, we should go for asymptomatic a lot sooner so we can get rid of that severity. I'm going to go ahead and restart, get to roughly the same point, and I'll be right back. Okay, this time around I got lucky and got into all of the islands fairly early by just focusing very heavily on the transmissions, getting down to asymptomatic, not touching any symptoms, and also picking up some good resistances fairly early on. As soon as we started getting into the United States and into Europe, I just went for as much drug resistance as I could, etc., etc. Alright, so now the time we just go ahead and start ramping up that mutation. We're going to go for triggering the mutagenesis, which sounds pretty cool. I hope it's as cool as it sounds. And then we're going to go for the nausea and the vomiting and the diarrhea for a lot of extra infectivity. Acute kidney injury, also known as AKI. Okay, a sudden episode of kidney failure or damage that happens within a few hours or a few days. AKI causes a buildup of waste products in your blood. Gross. Then we have dysentery. Is this actually a potential symptom? Dysentery? I wasn't aware of that. Pulmonary edema, we can pick that up. That goes to pulmonary fibrosis, also a bit of lethality. Not too worried about that right now. We should be getting a lot of mutation, right? So let's go ahead and also spend some points slowing down the cure just to buy myself a little bit of extra time and some extra score as we continue to spread. What is missing? Morocco and Algeria, so just Northwest Africa. No problemo, man. And look how much freaking DNA we're getting. Holy crap. Absolutely no problem. Let's go for the pulmonary fibrosis and the acute kidney injury, which is not the same as kidney failure per se, though that's effectively what is happening. We just mutated hemoptysis for free. Okay. Algeria and Morocco have closed their land borders. I assume we're going to have a good way of getting in there just by air transmission. And there we go. Even with their land borders closed, it ultimately did not matter. Perfect. So we got hemoptysis for free. Coughing up blood from inflamed bronchi increases infectivity and is fatal in extreme cases. We can go for the sepsis, the first stage of a life-threatening reaction to an infection. Sepsis, your immune system overreacts to an infection and starts to attack your own tissues and organs. We need as much lethality as possible right now because I'm going to start running out of gas pretty quickly, and they're going to be curing me faster and faster as time goes on. And now that they've manipulated my genes, that's only going to get worse. We did, however, just mutate severe sepsis, which is stage 2. The pathogen affects multiple organs and tissue types, causing body-wide infections that spread fast and can be fatal. The final stage is septic shock. Catastrophic system-wide infection, cell death of multiple tissue types, causing dangerously low blood pressure, body-wide organ failure, and rapid death, missing the Oxford comma. 53 points is a little expensive for me. I'm going to have to hope that we get some mutation to make that work. Other than that, I think we just have to slow down the cure by going for things like a genetic reshuffle. The problem is this is mega brutal difficulty, which means that the more people we have infected, the more expensive things are going to be. There's a septic shock. Let's go ahead and do a shuffle. Send things back down to 67%. And at this point, I'm out of gas. So either this lethality ends up being enough and carries me to victory, or we have already lost, and it's going to be pretty darn difficult for me to beat this on mega brutal difficulty. Pretty darn difficult, actually. And by pretty darn difficulty, I mean borderline impossible. We got very lucky this time around with getting into the islands as early as we did. So seriously, though, here comes some DNA as this continues to ramp up. Oh, at 90, at 100%. Okay. Cost is 42 DNA. If I can get this quickly, we might be able to set it back and grab it. Okay, down to 96%. Everyone immediately gets infected again, and it's still not enough. Here comes the second round of the cure. When the first one isn't good enough, here comes number 2. Ha! Oh, boy. For real, though, this is a difficult one. We can go for one more reshuffle, down to 97%. Everyone's been infected again. Round 3. And, oh, we're at 1%. Oh, good lord. I don't know. Can we hang on, grab this. Is that enough to slow it down? I don't think so. I think a few people are going to survive. And if that's the case, I'm going to let this pass as a failure just because at this point I think humanity deserves it. Really, really close. Potential, there's still a teensy bit of cure progress potential and only 100 million people. Oh, they got cured. No! Okay. Well, at this point, humanity deserves to live. We're going to fail the scenario technically, but maybe this is supposed to be reassuring to people or something. That's serious. I don't think you can do a lot better than that. At this point, it's a matter of luck. I did the best that I possibly could. We got eradicated, but within the course of about 2 years, we were able to wipe out 98% of the planet, and only a few people remain in order to pick the civilization back up and start anew. And let's be honest, with the entire supply lines gone, I'm willing to bet that those people aren't going to make it much longer either way. So there we go. All right, so we lost to the COVID-19 virus on Mega Brutal difficulty. Which I'm not sad about at all. That was actually a pretty good scenario. It's a very one-track mind as far as how to approach the symptoms of the infection. You really only can follow a single railed path. But you have to do it in a specific order. It's not like a total cakewalk. So that's one of the things I like about it. It's overall a pretty good scenario, not bad. Fairly realistic to the situation we are dealing with now, except ironically enough, a little on the slow side. Because when you think about just how many countries this disease has popped up in since it was discovered and talked about since, December and January, the fact that it took me until, like, August to get into another country, that's the one part that's actually not realistic. It's important for game balance purposes, but I don't know. Maybe we're playing on Mega Brutal or something. It's weird, dude. It's just really weird. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. But beyond that, I hope that you guys are staying safe and taking care of yourselves. Make sure that you are washing your hands, take care of the vulnerable around you, and be thankful for what you have, because a lot of people out there have it a lot worse. I'll see you guys next time.